Now, in my mind, I'm guessing that they only wanted her to gain his affection long enough to get this information and probably kill him later. But because Rebecca fell in love with him, she didn't want to kill him. He had said to her that he wanted to marry her and he wanted to take her with him when they left that town, and I think she was about to go along with it. She was about to leave her brothers for this man. And while she would have been happy with that, Klaus most definitely was not, because you know how Klaus is when his family betrays him or tries to leave his side. He goes kind of bonkers. So when he found out what her betrayal was, when he found out that she had betrayed his trust, well, it wasn't that difficult to find out. When they were in bed together and he had revealed to her, that the sword was the key to deciphering the map, and the map was supposed to lead to a weapon that would destroy vampires. Apparently, this weapon is supposed to be a cure for vampirism. And as he's telling her this, and they get back to their kissy kissy, lovey lovey, and she thinks they're going to go away together and have happy days, he actually winds up stabbing her in the chest with the dagger, that special dagger, the one that, is the only thing that can keep our originals docile. Not kill them, but keep them docile. So she gets stabbed in the chest and she's incapacitated. And while this happens, Klaus finds her, because apparently she didn't come back when she was supposed to. He went after her, finds her with the dagger in her chest, kills the hunter by ripping his heart out. And I believe that Elijah and him killed the other 4. And when Rebecca finally gains consciousness and sees him dead, she's just distraught, heartbroken. She can't believe that this has happened. Why would you do this to me? Blah, blah, blah. And he looks at her straight on and says, you betrayed me. You were going to leave me for him, for this mortal? How could you do that? Your own family. What did he promise you? What did he promise you? And that's when she tells him that the weapon is supposed to be a cure. So Stefan has gotten all this information from Klaus. The only thing that they don't know right now is where the sword is. Because after all that went down in Italy, Rebecca took the hunter's body and buried it with the sword. And she's the only one that knows where it's buried. And this is the information that Klaus needs to get out of her. She won't talk to him because she's like, go fuck yourself. So he again asks Stefan, I need you to get this information out of her. I don't care how, just do it. She won't talk to me, but she will talk to you. So Stefan has to commit a little betrayal of his own. While all this is happening, back to the university this evening, and the frat party's in full swing. And Bonnie, Elena, and Damon show up, and Damon, oh my god, I love this costume. He was dressed up as Jack the Ripper, and 2 of them were his victims, complete with bloody slash marks. Loved it. Awesome costume. Ian looked great. Perfect costume for him too. Jack the Ripper, I mean, really? Yeah. Oh. Anyway. They walk into the frat house, the party's in full swing, everybody's, whatever. And Bonnie spots the professor at the top of the stairs going into his office, and she says, can you give me a second because I want to talk to him. And she goes up there and she has a discussion with him. Apparently he knows that she's a witch. I mean, I wasn't sure how well he knew Bonnie's grandmother, like how much she told him, but apparently she told him enough that he knew that her grandmother was a witch and that she is one too. And he asked her if she still practiced, and she said no, that she had some issues with her magic and now it wasn't working for her anymore. And he starts telling her that there may be a way that I can help you to still use magic. You don't necessarily have to have it or use spells in order to cast magic. There are other ways. I don't know if he means like herbs or what. They leave that conversation back downstairs. Damon is trying to lead her around the crowd and help her pick out her first victim of the night. And she kind of looks around to see who she wants to go after, and she spots a douchebag frat guy trying to slip a roofie into a girl's drink. Ding, ding, ding. Victim number 1. So in order to spare this girl possibly getting sexually assaulted, she goes over there and lays it on thick with this guy, and he's like, I'll be back in a second. To the girl that he was talking to, and he goes off with Elena into the back, and she compels him to keep quiet, don't worry, this won't hurt. And she bites him on the neck and gets down and dirty, and she looks like she's having a really good time. The only thing is, Elena has not mastered the art of self-control just yet. So, fortunately, Damon's right there behind her to make sure that, if she needs to be pulled off, then he can pull her off. He didn't need to pull her off this time, but he did have to tell her a couple of times, Elena, stop, 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 and she finally managed to seize control of herself and stop. And she had the blood in her mouth a little bit, and he had the blood in his neck, but this is a murder house frat party. Everyone was covered in blood, so no one really even noticed. Although you have to wonder, in the morning, when you wash the blood off and you see these bite marks on your neck, are you going to chalk it up to some kinky girl? Or are you going to start asking yourself some pretty hard questions? Anyway, Elena has this ethereal, ephemeral look on her face like, oh my god, I can't believe I just said, like she just had a drug high or something. And he asks her how she feels, and she's like, they hug, and she says, I feel great, I want more. And at first I thought that might have been a hallucination, but this whole event actually does happen. She totally gives in to this being a vampire vibe, this party. This is probably the most free and happy that I have seen her since the road trip to Georgia. Remember how she was saying that she felt like ever since her parents died, all she's been doing is crying. This is the first time I've actually seen her smile and laugh and just be free. And it's so great to see that Damon can join in that freedom with her, can experience that joy and that all the sensation. I mean, he's going throughout this party just dancing with random girls and kind of feeding off them, but not in huge amounts of nothing. He'll take some a little bit here, move on to the next girl, take a little bit there, and Elena's kind of doing the same thing. She feeds off another girl that she's dancing with, and then Damon sees her and walks over to her, and they start dancing, and it was really awesome. She was having a great time. I mean, yeah, she looked kind of, I don't know, with the blood on her face, but I mean, everyone in the whole house had blood all over them. It was a Halloween party, and no one even noticed. And she was getting the hang of how to survive, and she was enjoying herself while she was doing it. She wasn't going crazy and ripping people's body parts off. She was just being herself for once, and she didn't have to think about it. She could just do. And she and Damon are totally into it, having fun, and Bonnie walks back downstairs from the professor's office, and they see each other, and she looks at her like, what the hell are you doing? She's a look at her face like, what? Because Elena's got blood in her mouth and everything, and she's all, It's like she just, at that moment, it's like she snaps out of a trance, and as if she was in some kind of trance. I don't think she was in a trance, maybe in a little bit of a blood haze, but not a trance. And then she kind of looks at herself and she goes, oh, what have I done? Oh my god, oh my god. I'm like, really? Okay, this wasn't a cock block, but it was a fetus interruptus. I'm surprised that Damon was being so calm about it, but Damon was at the point where he's like, whatever. I'm just here for her. There's no point in him trying to snap Bonnie's head off for it, because it's not going to solve anything. It's not going to help nothing. But they do get into a bit of an argument outside. They're saying, what have I done? What am I doing? I don't want to be this person. He's like, no, you just don't want to be me. But do you want to know why it is that I don't have to be like Stefan? I don't have to go into crazy ripper rage every time I feed. How I can go around to each and every one of these people and feed off of them and still leave them breathing. Because I don't deny what I am. I revel in it. I accept it. I feed off of that bloodlust, and I move on. And that's exactly what you need to start doing. But she can't accept it. So back to Mystic Falls. I guess at this point they decide to leave the university and go back home. Back in Mystic Falls, Klaus has gotten everything that he wants out of Jeremy. He no longer needs him, so he gives him his ring back and tells one of the hybrids to escort him home. And the other hybrid that he has left there is supposed to be keeping an eye on Connor Jordan, but doesn't do a very good job of it. And Connor Jordan manages to escape. Stefan commits a little betrayal of his own by using a little bit of, not compulsion, but Stefan being Stefan and being persuasive and preying on Rebecca's need for acceptance and her anger towards Klaus, and gets her to open up about the sword. He tries to make her think that he's on her side, when in actuality I don't think he's on anybody's side at this point. I could tell when they were sitting together at that table having that dinner that he wanted to be anywhere but. He's tired of playing referee to their crap and just wants to get rid of the hunter so that the two of them can lead his life. But he does manage to get the information out of her. She says to him that she buried the sword with the hunter, and that she buried him in the place that they were in, wherever the place was that they were going to be married. Maybe it was a church or something. I'm not sure. She's not specific. Klaus is there the whole time. He hears the whole thing. He's like, "Thank you, sister, very much." And she just looks at Stefan like, "You bastard. You conned me into giving you this information. And it's not even because you don't want the idea that there's a cure to get out. It's because you want to cure Elena so that you can get your blood source back." And Klaus does not deny it in the least, and it makes sense, right? If he gives her the cure, then he has his doppelganger blood bag back. If Stefan can get his hands on the cure, Elena can have a normal life. And Rebecca asks him if you had the opportunity to take it, to spend a normal life with her, grow with her, would you do it? And he says that he would. And I'm willing to bet that he probably would. So now Klaus is flying out of the country, I'm guessing, if that's where he's buried, to get his hands on the sword.